To no one's real surprise, the exclusive attendees of Snow White's premiere are already showering Rachel Zegler's performance with praise. Early reactions hail the remake as a success, with headlines declaring, "Rachel Zegler stuns as Snow White." Sound familiar? It should, because we've seen this exact narrative before. Remember The Little Mermaid? Similar buzz surrounded Halle Bailey's portrayal, with critics using nearly identical language to hype up another Disney remake. It's almost as if history keeps repeating itself. However, this premiere felt noticeably different. Reports had already suggested that Disney planned to scale things back, and they certainly did. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot were kept away from reporters at what was an unusually muted world premiere in Los Angeles. But the most telling detail? The only people allowed to conduct interviews were carefully selected by Disney. Instead of the usual red carpet filled with dozens of media outlets, interviews were restricted to a select few, many of whom have direct ties to Disney. One of the key interviewers? Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel in Disney's original The Little Mermaid. 1989? It was a controlled, curated event, seemingly designed to minimize potential controversy. With Snow White's release just around the corner, one major question remains. Will audiences embrace this remake, or is Disney once again trying to manufacture positive buzz for a film that may not live up to expectations? Snow White is set to hit theaters on March 2nd, and while Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler posed for a few pictures together at the premiere, the event did little to dispel rumors of behind-the-scenes tension. However, one thing was consistent: everyone in attendance seemed to be saying the exact same thing. Critics wasted no time showering Zegler with praise. Rachel Zegler stuns in Snow White, a shining supernova in the role. A stunning, magical movie infused with hope, anchored by Zegler's outstanding performance. Zegler's Snow White is a delight, delivering a strong and magical performance. Even those offering mild critiques of the CGI dwarves couldn't help but highlight Zegler's portrayal, with some calling her an absolute star. As for Gal Gadot, the main compliment making the rounds was about her wardrobe. She had beautiful gowns. It all feels eerily familiar. A tightly controlled premiere, carefully curated reactions, and glowing reviews from invited guests, almost as if we've seen this exact playbook before. Can Disney manufacture enough hype to push Snow White past the controversy? That remains to be seen. No surprise here, everyone invited to this elite premiere seems to have nothing but praise for Rachel Zegler as Snow White. Shocking, stunning, unbelievable! Except, of course, it's not. It appears that attendees were given the green light to share their thoughts immediately, with no embargo preventing them from hyping up the film on social media. This allows Disney to grab those early reactions, turn them into flashy headlines, and start building momentum for the movie's release. This is a well-worn playbook. Typically, films have both social media and review embargoes in place. Social reactions come first to generate excitement, while full reviews drop closer to release. In this case, the social media embargo lifts on Wednesday, while the full review embargo ends just one day before the movie hits theaters. By then, all those glowing tweets will have been converted into official reviews, ensuring a wave of positive press right before opening day. Honestly, given the cards Disney has dealt itself with Snow White, they're making the best moves they can. Keeping Rachel Zegler away from unfiltered interviews? Smart. Flooding social media with controlled praise? Expected. And, of course, ensuring their hand-picked insiders spread the right message? A given. The real question is, will audiences buy into the hype, or will Snow White struggle to break free from the controversies that have surrounded it from the start? Apparently, we were all wrong to doubt this movie. Despite all the criticism over the past 2 years, Snow White is supposedly amazing, and Rachel Zegler stuns in the role, at least according to the hand-picked voices hyping it up. But will that be enough to undo the damage Disney has already done? That remains to be seen. And then there's this particular review, a true word salad of epic proportions. Rachel Zegler is a shining supernova in Snow White, beautifully embodying the graceful and gentle nature of the original Disney princess. I mean, when was the last time anyone described a movie like that with a straight face? Have you ever left a theater and thought, wow, that was a visual feast? Yeah, me neither. The film features show-stopping new musical numbers, and of course, dozens of enchanting animated animals. The screenplay wisely gives its heroine newfound depth through her fervent desire to become the leader her father believed she could be. along with a love story that's as sweet as an apple. At this point, it sounds less like a genuine reaction and more like a desperate attempt to convince people this film is something special. But will audiences buy into it? That's the real question. So let's talk about Disney Access. Or more. Specifically, the desperate attempt to say all the right things to stay in Disney's good graces. Because let's be real, that's exactly what's happening here. We're watching critics bend over backwards to spin the narrative, writing the most nonsensical reviews just to make sure they don't lose their exclusive Disney privileges. And I mean, come on, it's getting ridiculous. I just read one of the most mind-boggling reports I've ever seen. Seriously, this thing is one massive word salad. It's like they threw in every buzzword they could find, mixed it all together, and then topped it off with some ranch dressing just to make it even messier. And trust me, it's bad, but here's where it gets even crazier. One critic actually wrote, "After seeing Snow White, I almost shed a tear watching Rachel Zegler, and I never cry in my life. I had to read that twice because there's no way that's a serious review." If I'm not mistaken, that came from Screen Rant, or one of those sites that's always trying to hype up Disney's latest projects no matter how bad they are. And honestly, this just proves my point. Who actually talks like this? No one in real life uses these words. No one describes movies like this unless they're desperately trying to sell something. And speaking of exaggerated descriptions, let's talk about the best one yet. Someone actually said that Rachel Zegler shines and stuns like a supernova. Now, at first, that might sound like a huge compliment, but let's break it down for a second. Do you know what a supernova actually is? It's not just some bright, dazzling explosion. It's literally the death of a star. That's right. When a star has burned up all its energy and has nothing left to give, it explodes in one final burst before fading away forever. So, in a weird way, that review might be more accurate than they intended. Because let's be honest, this could very well be the last major lead role we see Rachel Zegler in for a long time. Her entire career is now riding on this film. If Snow White flops, and let's face it, all signs are pointing to disaster, Hollywood is going to take notice. The studios will remember the endless PR disasters, the backlash, the boycotts, and the fans turning against her. And they're going to think twice before giving her another big opportunity. So yeah, in that sense, maybe supernova really is the right description, because this could be her final big moment before she burns out completely. Now, of course, we still have a few days before the general audience gets to see the movie. Maybe they'll have a completely different reaction. Maybe they'll love it. Maybe they'll hate it even more than expected. But here's the thing. No one is surprised that the critics are already trying to hype it up. This is exactly what we expected. These are the same critics who always rush to defend movies like this, no matter how bad they actually are. They're the ones who give glowing reviews to every Disney live-action remake, even when audiences absolutely hate them. And trust me, if early audience reactions come out and they're brutal, you can bet these same critics will be out here, trying to damage control, calling fans toxic, and blaming us for not understanding their so-called vision. But anyway, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think the critics are being genuine, or is this just another case of Hollywood shilling for Disney? And what do you think about the whole supernova comment? Is it actually a compliment, or does it say more than they intended?